What's up, guys, and welcome to my review for Jon Favreau's new live-action version of The Lion King. I'm going to call it live-action because it looks live-action. It is CG, it is computer animated, but like I said, at the same time, it looks live-action, so we're going to call it live-action. We're going to do this. So, you guys know the plot of The Lion King, you know the basic story of The Lion King, so I'm not going to talk about it. So let's just start talking about this movie and what it does differently, what it does the same. This is a non-spoiler review, even though you probably do already know the story of The Lion King. This film is very similar. The movie is about 20-some minutes longer than the animated movie, and I don't really feel like it has to be. It sort of felt like this movie was long for the sake of being longer. And like there's just certain sequences that sort of just are extended that don't need to be extended, and they don't really do anything to advance the plot in any way because it is very similar to the original. It's so similar that things are just extended for the sake of being extended, and they just didn't need to be. For instance, this is not a spoiler, but when we see Scar for the first time and that little mouse that he chases, that sort of, we sort of see the mouse running all over the place before Scar gets to him, and I just felt like that was like just to show this animation, and it is a feat. I mean, this movie looks so realistic, it's crazy. The animation is so incredible in this movie, it looks so real, but that sort of is a positive and a negative at the same time. The positive, it looks fantastic, it's visually stunning, but the negative, it sort of doesn't allow the characters to emote as well as they did in a hand-drawn animated movie. I mean, very few times in the film we do see emotions coming from the characters' faces, but it's not enough. So, I mean, you do know the story, you love the story, you're invested into the story because you know the story of The Lion King, and it's a great story. But this time around, the characters are, I'm not going to say emotionless, but they just don't emote as much as they should. So it just sort of feels like, a lot of the times it just sort of feels like we're going through the motions of the story. Okay, this is going to happen. Okay, this is going to happen. And to be honest, some of the voice acting fell flat for me. Some of the line readings just kind of fell flat. Not all the time, but I think some of the line readings from Zazu at times kind of fell flat for me, especially in the beginning of the film. Certain lines from Chiwetel Ejiofor as Scar. Honestly, it didn't really work for me. I don't really think Chiwetel Ejiofor as Scar for me worked. He's no Jeremy Irons. I don't understand if you're going to recast James Earl Jones, you've got to recast Jeremy Irons. And Chiwetel Ejiofor is doing something different for it, but it just didn't work for me. Also, Billy Eichner as Timon. That also didn't work for me. Some of the lines that he read were fine, but overall, he's just, I don't know, it sort of fell flat for me at times. And he's no Nathan Lane, and I just feel like, some of the line readings were just flat, and they didn't work. Also, James Earl Jones, obviously he is older, and it shows in some of the line readings, and he reads some of the lines differently. And I felt like if you're going to recast James Earl Jones, or if you're going to cast him again as Mufasa, and you want to keep that the same, then why doesn't he just read the lines the same? Because it's the same exact lines, but he says them differently. And when he says them differently, it falls flat at points. And that's one of my main criticisms of the movie. Some of the line readings are flat, and the characters are sort of going through the motions because they're so realistic and realistic looking, and they don't emote as much as they should. The musical numbers, good. Hans Zimmer's score, fantastic. There's one song in the movie that they sort of just do a half-assed version of, and that's Be Prepared. At first I heard rumors that Be Prepared wasn't going to be in the movie, but then maybe they decided to put it in later on, and they just sort of put a half-assed version in there. And the movie is missing moments. I mean, a lot of the scenes are the same from the animated film, but there's tiny moments from that movie, the best moments, that they took out. The scene's the same, but there's tiny moments that just aren't in this. So, I mean, the movie's not as good as the original. I wasn't expecting it to be, but, you know, I mean, this is, I don't know, I liked it. I think it's good. It's another telling of the story. It's not bad. I mean, because it's so similar, the story is great. So, you know, I guess that's saying something toward it. But in the end of the day, I'm going to give The Lion King 3.5 out of 5 stars. I do think, you know, as a movie on its own, it's good. It's just, like I said, some of the line readings didn't work for me. Chiwetel Ejiofor, Billy Eichner didn't really work for me. But, and also, there's a thing that happens towards the end of the film that happens in the animated movie, but they do it sort of differently in this. It's like a musical bit. I'm not going to spoil it, but it happens and it's different, and there's something that someone sings that is so out of left field and did not work for me whatsoever. If I do a spoiler video, I'll mention it. If you guys see the movie, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. But yeah, those are my basic thoughts on The Lion King. Also, Seth Rogen as Pumbaa, really enjoyed him. I think Simba, young Simba, adult Simba, that really worked for me as well. So those are my thoughts on The Lion King. So guys, comment your thoughts in the comments if you plan on seeing this movie. What are your thoughts on the animated film? Are you excited to see this? Comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for a whole bunch of reviews coming in the future, including Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. Also, a bunch of trailer reactions, Quickie Wednesday videos, all that sort of thing. Also, guys, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. The links to those are in the description of this video, and you can also follow me on Instagram at KingArises131. And guys, that's been it. Thank you very much for watching my review for The Lion King. Over and out.
You must take your place in the circle of life.